Man of Reddit, what is the creepiest thing you have heard from a woman? Story 1. I just wanted to see if you would stay. Now, the reason this was crazy is because, preceding that, I got a text from her saying she maybe missed a period. I said something like, "Oh, okay, so you're pregnant." She then volunteered an abortion. Cool, good. I don't have to worry about raising a kid at 16. Keep in mind, we weren't even sure that she was pregnant. So then, she suddenly texts me. Maybe she changed her mind about the abortion and want to keep it if she was pregnant. So I reasonably asked, what changed? She says she just might want to keep the kid if she's pregnant. And I kept sort of asking again and again why. Okay, but what's the difference between now and an hour or two ago when you brought up the abortion? She accuses me of pressuring her, calls me an asshole, and stops responding to my texts. A day or two later, she tells me she wasn't even pregnant in the first place, and see the quote above. That's why she says she went through all that stuff, and I guess her not knowing the kind of person I am made it okay for her to do all of this. God, I wish I ended the relationship there. Story 2. I bartended a small dive bar years ago. It was late one night, and I had a lone female guest. She was probably middle-aged, polite, and short while ordering a drink. I thought nothing strange or got no red flags, so I continued my closing duty, sweeping around the tables, in particular not behind the bar. I'm focused on cleaning and getting out of there, and when I turned around to dump the dust, she's standing right behind me, staring me dead in the eye. "Will you dance with me?" she asks in a slow, nervous manner. For the record, there is no music playing, and we're the only two living creatures in the building. I tell politely that I'm closing and cannot right now, and quickly put distance and walked behind the bar. In the 5 seconds I have to walk through the kitchen, this guest has walked back to her stool and begun hysterically crying at the top of her lungs. She asked me if I think she's ugly, fat, unattractive, a whore, and several more derogatory things which I deny and deflect. She screams and tells me she hates me, and runs out of the bar. I ring the beer she drank half of up as a waste and lock the door. I continued to work there for 7 more years and never saw this guest again. Story 3. I was stoned and hooking up with this girl. We were foreplaying and she's sitting cowgirl, kissing my neck, and I am digging it. Suddenly, she started to lick and slurp my neck and my chest. She then sits up, moved her face an inch from mine, stared deeply into my eyes, and asked, "Where did you get your skin? It's delicious." Story 4. She held up a banana and asked if my penis was the same size, in the middle of a dinner rush, as loud as can be, in front of about 5 customers and everyone on shift that night. And this was after she groped my brother's ass. Somehow she didn't get fired for this, and I still resent my former boss for not being attentive. If you are enjoying this, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It really means a lot to me. Story 5. Slightly off topic, but this experience came to mind reading this. On a weekend at Val, a music festival in Toronto, I was actually aggressively approached. A girl had grabbed my arm as me and my friend were walking by. As I tried to pull away, she looked me dead in the eye and said nothing. I said, "Sorry, I'm in a hurry to the bathroom, can't talk." She then proceeded to touch my stomach and try to get a handful of my package. Throughout all this, she said nothing and scared the shit out of me. Story 6. When I was a child, my then stepmom requested some specific candy bar from my trick-or-treating hole. When I refused, she casually said, "I'll rape you for it." I had only a vague idea what that word meant, but it sounded like bad news. Bonus. Same individual performed a tactile inspection of my downstairs when I tried on a new bathing suit to ensure that my package was all right. What the fuck? Story 7. A few years ago, I started hanging out with this girl who was around my friend group at this time and came to trivia nights with us occasionally. Things were going well at first, but then I started to notice some odd signs. She never slept. She would do bizarre things like start a shower, then go start cooking food, then sit down and begin tending her plants, as if she kept forgetting what tasks she was doing. She put a sign out on her lawn with her cell phone numbers on it wanting to connect with strangers. It got weirder as it went on. I mentioned to her once that I liked thunderstorms, and she became convinced that I could cause thunderstorms. At first I thought she was joking, but it started to weird me out. Then one night, when I was sleeping over, I noticed that she was just sitting in bed watching me. She put her hand on my heart and whispered that she could hear the beautiful fishes in my blood. That very morning, her father burst into her apartment, yelling about her appointment with a psychiatrist that she kept avoiding. She told me that her parents and the doctors were trying to convince that she had bipolar disorder and wanted to shut her brain off. Long story short, her friends and family convinced her to go. She bravely took on her mental illness and got help before the manic episode got out of control. And now we are very close friends to this day. Story 8. A complete and total stranger walked over to me and said, "I need you to rearrange my guts with your cock." She then pointed at the men's bathroom and walked over and into it. While I left, this woman had 20 years at least on everyone in the place, and the best way for me to describe how she looked is to say a half-crushed beer can. Story 9. You're so cute. I want to break into your room, kill you, and stuff you so that we can be together forever. I started locking the doors religiously afterwards. Story 10. I worked at a fast food place years ago. My girlfriend came in for a milkshake and was waiting at the end of the counter with one of our regulars. Doris, the regular, was near 90 years old and had invited me home to have pot roast at her house multiple times. I was being a pain and put about a foot of whipped cream over the top of the lid of my girlfriend's milkshake and brought it over to her. Doris looked at her, then looked at me deadpan and said, "I wished you would cream me like that." Doris never ordered desserts. Story 11. I had a lady friend who was adamant she was pregnant with my child. I pulled her dad aside and explained what she had told me. I expected a lashing and how I'm gonna be paying for this kid. He calmly goes, "She does this with everyone who wants to leave her. Just walk away and have a good life." 100% wished he was my dad. Cool ass dude with a shit daughter. Story 12. If I see you in 10 years with a different woman and you're married, I will kill her and you in your sleep. That was after I dumped my ex. That is definitely in the top 10 creepiest things I've been told. Then there's others like, "Do you think if I saved your cum in my freezer, I could have your child when I felt ready?" That was by someone I dated for a little over 2 months. Then there was one who told me, "I would honestly don't mind if you fucked my friends, but I would cut off your cock if you fell for one of them." I've met my share of crazy. Story 13. As a physical therapist, fresh out of PT school, I was tasked with massaging the piriformis muscle of a 40-something woman who was in town on business. For those of you who don't know, the piriformis is located in the area of the butt, so it was already dicey. She was wearing a skirt and a thong underneath. As I was massaging her, she began verbally directing me. Lower, to the right, lower, right some more, etc. Essentially, verbally moving my hands to her anus. As I was getting closer, I was also getting more uncomfortable. Finally, I said, "This isn't where your piriformis muscle is." She basically proceeded to tell me I was incompetent and that she had done this many times, and I was the one that didn't know where the piriformis was. Then she threatened me that she was friends with the owner, and if I didn't massage her what she wanted, she was going to complain. I told her that was okay, and I didn't feel comfortable touching the area she was wanting me to massage, and I left the room. She left, and nobody ever mentioned it to me, and I never saw her coming again. Story 14. Had an ex who routinely threatened to cut it off. Any chance she got, she would have her hands on it, and sometimes would say things like, "If you ever cheat on me, I'll cut your dick off. And if I could cut it off and keep it in a jar, I wouldn't need you anymore." I would wake up with her holding onto it while looking at me. Crazy as fuck, but yeah. Story 15. When I was younger, I worked in a bar popular with 18 to 20 years old. One night, as a group of girls were leaving, I made eye contact with one of them. That was enough. She came stumbling back to the bar and spoke, "I have to show you the background on my phone." She put her phone on the bar, and the background picture was a picture of me. She then said, "I took it about 3 weeks ago. I'm totally obsessed. Your photo is the last thing I see before I go to sleep, and the first thing I see when I wake up." Story 16. Back in college, I was at a study group, and I found myself talking to this girl. Just talking about class and eventually just talking about random other stuff, like life at school and favorite places to eat nearby. Then, after a moment of silence, she tells me that she wants to see me fight off a group of guys trying to attack her, and she would hold me while I was beaten up and bleeding on the floor. I mean, just randomly dropping that on someone when a minute ago we were talking about best places to get cheap food, it's a bit too much. Story 17. Was on a nearly empty plane, sitting in the last row in a window seat, no one else in the row. I eventually fell asleep. Woke up with a tatted up goth looking chick sitting next to me, eyes boring a hole through my head, just straight up staring at me. I looked at her and I'm like, hi? She stares for like 5 more long seconds and then exhales, "Sorry, you look like an angel sleeping with the sun on your face," she said breathlessly. We chatted for maybe another 30 seconds or so. She apologized for staring like that a couple more times. Then she went back to her seat. Shit was surreal though. Story 18. My friend had sex with you when you passed out drunk last night. She didn't use a condom, and now you owe her $40 because she had to use a Plan B kit. Yes, she told me that 1. I was raped. 2. She knew about it. 3. She did nothing. 4. She sided with her friend that I had done something wrong. 5. I was financially responsible for making sure a baby didn't happen. All of that from a single sentence. Fun fact, she was also my boss, and her friend was a coworker. I reported everything to her boss and HR, and then they told me point blank, "Men can be raped." Story 19. Coworker once said to me in an oddly serious, more of a hint kind of way, after I told her I wasn't looking to mess around or for a relationship, "I've seen a body rotting in lye before, just so you know." It was so serious and monotone that it freaked me out and made me think that she was the one who had probably put it in there. Yeah, let's just say I went out of my way to avoid speaking to her again until she got terminated from that place of employment. Story 20. As a child, I had a woman tell me I'm cute and that they hope to see me when I'm older. Didn't realize why my parents were outraged at that time. Before anybody asks, I'm not a native English speaker, and in my language, we have different types of cute, like for puppies or clothes, or the one she used which is cute, but like sexualized. Thank you for watching. Hope you're having a good day or a good night. I hope to see you again in the next video. Bye bye.